playoffs are coming around once again for the Edmonton Oilers. And when you look back at last year's run that ended in the second round at the hands of the Vegas Golden Knights, handful of issues. They weren't getting a lot of scoring outside of 97 and 29, and goaltending wasn't great. Is there any reason to believe those two areas will be maybe a strength this time around?
Yeah, Stuart Skinner's learned a lot about from the goaltending perspective. I had a really good chat with him a few weeks ago just about, he said he was never physically fatigued. There's some mental things that, he will do different this year, such as like on a morning skate, leaving the ice earlier, not because he was physically fatigued, just because it allows him, more time away from the rink to kind of relax and not be worrying about things as much. As for the balance scoring, from year to year, you never know. But, you look at Zach Hyman's season, I would think, he's going to produce more. But if you just look up and down the Oilers lineup, Corey Perry, Adam Henrique, Warren Foegele scoring more this season. I think they got a lot of guys who can produce more. Connor Brown has finally woke up after a season-long hibernation for quite a while for him. So if he could chip in one goal in a series or, one of Janmark or Carrick. So I think the Oilers and their defense, they're the only team currently with 3 defensemen who have scored 10 goals on their team this season in Bouchard, Ekholm, and Nurse. So, they've got some goal scoring prowess from the back end. And, I think Edmonton's a better team this year than they are last year. And I think they learned from last year. The big thing, goaltending was an issue, but so was team defense, right? Like the Oilers had the lead in every game that series. They couldn't hold a lead because just they didn't play smart. The other thing I'm going to watch though was I thought Jay Woodcroft might have erred a bit in that series. That the Jack Eichel line was crushing the Draisaitl line, and he didn't switch it up in games 5 or 6 and try to put McDavid on Eichel's line, especially in game 6. So, I'll be curious about Knoblauch. And I know it's only one game, guys, but I went back through how this past Saturday night against Vancouver. Now, McDavid's not in the lineup, of course, so that's a big caveat. But Ekholm and Bouchard play mainly with McDavid's line. And last night, or on Saturday, Draisaitl was taking McDavid's spot. Well, what happened was Paul Coffey has really shown confidence in his 3 defense pairs. If you look from March 18th on, their splits between minutes against, elite and middle players, like the top 3 lines, basically, it's like 69 to 71 of their percentage of total ice time that's where they all rank. Against Vancouver, Nurse and Kulak played the most minutes against Pettersson and the Miller line, the top 2. And then it was Ceci and Desharnais. Ekholm only played 6 minutes against those 2 lines, right? Bouchard played 8, and that's because he likes to keep that line with the Draisaitl or McDavid line. And so I'll be curious how that alters, or if they alter it in the playoffs, and see how they split it. But right now they have a lot of faith in their third pair, and they split them up pretty even.
So what or who is the Oilers' X factor in the playoffs? To me, it's Evander Kane, because you saw how much of a difference maker he could be 2 years ago. This year, up and down, last playoffs, he was hurt. And I think that's one of the reasons why they lost to the Golden Knights is him and Hyman were banged up. This year, he's had a roller coaster of a season. Is that an unfair label, X factor?
No, I don't think so. Like, I'm assuming we're excluding like the obvious guys. Usually you got to win with your best guys. McDavid, Draisaitl.
That doesn't count because they're not X factors.
So I would say, honestly, Kane's a good one. I think the play of Nurse and Ceci, I would argue that's one that's got to be key. I look at the last 5 games played, and Nurse as being 8-2, 5-on-5 goals against, Ceci 7-1, and because they were not good in February and really since the All-Star break up until late March. And I think, Paul Coffey put a challenge out. You started seeing him playing Desharnais and Kulak more against top lines, and not just them. Like since March 18th, guys, like Kulak and Desharnais. I know it got a lot of play. Elliot Friedman mentioned too about Sid's post about the percentage of minutes against elite. Well, no one would think that Desharnais and Kulak are the Oilers' top pair, but since March 18th, they played 39 and 38% of their time, the highest against elite. But then you have to look at actual minutes played, I think, to decipher that a little deeper. But I would say Nurse and Ceci, we know that Ekholm and Bouchard are playing well. They're going to play a lot with McDavid's line. It's going to come down to, I think, a lot of times how Nurse and Ceci play. If they play how they've done the last 5 games, they're going to have much more success. But if they play like they did in February and early March, then they're going to struggle.
Final 60 seconds here, Greg's. The Golden Knights and Kings. There's 1 point separating them right now in the standings. One of them's going to get the Oilers in round 1. Which one is the best matchup?
Good question. Like Edmonton, I think, knows how to play LA, so you could probably argue that I think they're really comfortable there. Heck, Drew Doughty even jokingly said, I don't really like the system we play, but it's a system we play. So, I don't think anybody likes it. But I don't think Vegas is, I get that they're the defending Stanley Cup champs, but I've said this before. So was Colorado last year, and they lost to Seattle. Last year means nothing to me. The last 3 months, Vegas hasn't been that good. And I know they're likely going to get Mark Stone back. He'll add some energy and emotion. But honestly, I think Edmonton, well, if you're going to go as deep as they want, they got to beat either team. So to me, I don't think it matters that much, to be honest. I think there might be a part of the Oilers that would want to play Vegas because you want to beat the team that ripped your heart out the year before.
I don't root, but I would really root for Edmonton, Vancouver round 2.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Vancouver had their way with the Oilers during the regular season. Greg's, appreciate your time today, man. Thanks for doing this.
Have a good one, Pepe.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.